Hi, my name's Ian Reeves, and I've decided to do my PowerPoint presentation on an enviro issue with our country, and I'm doing mine on coal-fired power stations. In this presentation, I'm going to be talking about current plants in Australia, emissions and health, environmental impact as well, what our Australian government is doing about it and their climate policy, effects that it's going to have on the electricity sector, and close out with my personal thoughts on it all. Australia has 24 power plants at the moment, powered by coal, ranging in age from earliest one still in production is built in 1975 to the most recent one, which was built in 2010. Majority of our coal power plants are working with black coal. We only have 3 left using brown, and obviously they're the ones that they're targeting to phase out first because brown's a lot dirtier than black. And also in our coal industry, not just our power plants, but our mining of coal, we have 34,000 jobs that are involved in that. The electricity sector in Australia amounts for about a third of Australia's emissions in total. We're the 14th highest country in the world with emissions. Obviously the brown coal is the most intensive, and I think it produces about 35% of the generation emissions, and the rest of it is black coal. Majority of our coal powered stations are old and inefficient, and because of their age, they're too costly to retrofit with the new technology of carbon capture and storage technologies. 3 main pollutants that they throw out, obviously, is sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and particle matter, or heavies that we call it. And this leads to environmental problems, obviously. Pollutants, unfortunately, travel a long distance away, so even though we don't generally put them near major cities because they can travel so far, it does contribute heavily to the pollution in the cities themselves. And also, your heavies fall on the grass. Cows eat the grass, we eat the cows. Falls in the waterways, so all the fish and everything related to that, and we eat fish. And also our waterways, we get our water supply from. The Australian government, under its Paris Agreement, has decided to reduce our emissions by 28% by 2030. And their aim obviously is to reduce the emissions and also boosting renewable energy, increasing our energy productivity, of course, improving the health of our environment. The renewable energy target, they're doing that to encourage investment on a large scale for renewable power stations. I think they're chasing about 33,000 gigawatt hours. And on a small scale, just as far as like household solar panels and solar hot water systems and the like. There's also the Emissions Reduction Fund, which is a voluntary scheme to provide incentives for organisations and individuals to adopt all new practices and technologies to reduce emissions. 80% of our energy in Australia is produced by coal. And as you can see by the graph there, that 33% of that is purely for electricity supply. So there's a lot of background stuff that's got to be done if we're going to be stopping that. Obviously, as I mentioned before, our workforce is built up of about 34,000 people, not just in the coal power plants, but also in the coal mining. And that's obviously going to have a huge effect on that. And then there's the alternate supply. The government's encouraging other people to do it, but I think they really need to lead from the front and start doing it themselves. They can't shut down a power plant until there's something else in place to produce the same amount of power. When we look at the big scheme of things, what's our impact on the world? We've got a measly 20 coal-powered power stations. When you look at someone like China, who's got 1,150, India's got 280, and the States have got 210. makes you wonder what, us getting rid of our 20, how is that going to affect everything in the grand scheme of things, unless the rest of the world is following suit. As I've stated before, we have 34,000 people in the workforce. Obviously, they do away with those jobs. There's the potential of having to retrain personnel in other jobs, and then job securities that come with that. We're not only affecting singles and individuals, families, and also townships. There's towns that are built around coal mining and coal plants. So if these are all shut down, what happens to these little towns? There's a few different types of renewable energy, obviously, that they're looking at. Wind farms are good, as far as it's always windy, but you've got to look at the carbon footprint. They talk about how much carbon footprint you cause by making a wind turbine, to the effect of how much do you save by using it. Solar farms are good, but once again, you talk about the carbon footprint of solar panels. They can't be reused once they're broken. They're no good. And what sort of carbon footprint do they leave behind? And also, solar only works during the day when the sun's out. Pumped hydro is a really good suggestion. Obviously, you're restricted on real estate. There's places that you can have it, places you can't have it. But the idea of pumping water up to the top pond during the day with solar-powered pumps, and then having it run down during the night to give you power at night, is a really good idea. Battery storage, once again, the carbon footprint you're producing by making these batteries, and then what happens with them when they're over. And gas powered is a good alternate for remote places, as opposed to feeding off the coal system. But once again, you're burning, so it does produce an environmental impact as well. Thank you for listening to my attempt at this. Cheers.